Picture this. You're driving to work. You're a little late. Your mind is already racing, and then the dashboard lights up. Check engine. Not a dramatic breakdown, just a warning, a quiet one, the kind that makes your stomach drop, not because of the sound, but because of what it represents. You know the fix might be a few $100, 300, maybe 4. Annoying, but manageable, if you had it. You check your bank account, $40-something until Friday. So you do what most people do. You ignore it. You turn up the music. You tell yourself you'll deal with it later. 2 months pass. That small problem becomes a dead car on the side of the highway. Now you need a tow, then a major repair, then time off work, then a credit card balance that starts growing. What could have been a $300 inconvenience turns into a $2,500 chain reaction. This isn't bad luck. This is a financial law of physics. When you don't have a buffer, small problems don't stay small. My name is Mr. Cashman, and on this channel I spend a lot of time thinking about the hidden mechanics of money. Not the flashy stuff, not get rich quick. The quiet equations that decide who lives with constant pressure and who lives with margin. If you've ever felt like you're working harder every year, but your bank balance never seems to breathe. If you've ever felt like one bad week could knock your whole life off balance, you're exactly who this is for. Because today, we're not talking about stocks, crypto, or side hustles. We're talking about something more uncomfortable. Why being broke is actually expensive. Most advice tells you that wealth is about discipline, and poverty is about bad habits. Stop buying coffee. Cancel Netflix. As if saving $12 a month is going to fix a structural problem. What they ignore is something economists understand very well. Lack of capital has a cost. There's a concept often called the boots theory. A person with money buys a quality pair of boots once and wears them for 10 years. A person without money buys cheap boots every year because that's all they can afford. 10 years later, the poor person has spent more and still has worse boots. That's not a story about footwear. It's a story about how poverty forces you into the most expensive options over time. You see it in groceries. Bulk is cheap, but bulk requires cash. You see it in banking. If you have money, the bank pays you interest. If you don't, the bank charges you fees for being short by a few dollars. Borrow $5 by accident, pay $35 in penalties. That's not a mistake. That's a business model. You see it in cars. Good credit gets low interest and reliable vehicles. Bad credit gets high interest and constant repairs. Same need. Completely different lifetime cost. You see it in housing. Owners build equity. Renters pay full price forever. And you even see it in time. When you don't have money, everything takes longer. Longer commutes, more waiting, more manual work, more friction in daily life. Time is a currency. Poverty spends it aggressively. There's also a psychological side most people underestimate. When you're under financial pressure, your brain shifts into survival mode. Short-term thinking, quick relief, less capacity for long-term planning. Not because you're irresponsible, because your mental bandwidth is already full. This is why the system feels like a trap, because in many ways it is. Higher interest, higher fees, higher deposits, higher risk premiums. You're charged more precisely because you can afford less. So what's the real first step out of this? Not investing, not side hustles, not speculation. The first real weapon is a buffer, a small pool of money that turns emergencies into inconveniences. That lets you fix problems early instead of paying for them later with interest, fees, and stress. That first emergency fund doesn't make you rich, it makes you stable. And stability changes everything. It lets you buy quality instead of replacements. It lets you think in total cost instead of monthly payments. It lets you say no to the worst financial options. The market wants you to think in only $99 a month. You need to think in, what will this cost me over 5 years? That shift alone separates people who stay on the hamster wheel from people who slowly step off. Being poor isn't a character flaw. It's a position in a system. And once you understand the system, you stop blaming yourself and start playing smarter. You stop chasing relief and start building durability. You stop reacting and start preparing. You stop paying the poverty premium, one decision at a time. The goal isn't luxury. The goal is margin. Margin of safety. Margin of time. Margin of choice. This is Mr. Cashman, and you're watching the Mr. Cashman channel. If this helped you see the game more clearly, subscribe and stay with us. We're here to turn financial pressure into understanding, and understanding into quiet, steady progress.